Hey guys, welcome back to the studio. Ryan, aka BloodShot Airbrushing, and we are back for part 4 of the Airbrush Graffiti Harley-Davidson. I'm just throwing out random words. SpaghettiOs. Alright guys, let's get back to it. If you were here for part 1 of the part 4 series, oh god, these numbers are getting hard to blah. We started in with some stencils. So let's continue down that path. I need to give this a bit of an outline. I think we're going to go burgundy. And then once the burgundy is done, guys, I'm going to go in and outline this in black. And then once that's done, I've got the Ohm sign to put into this sort of area. I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to do that yet. I know, guys, a little late in the project to be figuring stuff out, but one step at a time, guys. Alright, speaking of steps, next step would be some tape. And as I usually do, just taking that tape, ripping it into little wedges, and rolling it upon itself. So I've got a little circular tube of tape, and putting little tabs on the back of my paper, pressing it down, and I think we are ready for blasting in some burgundy. And always making sure, doing a little quick test to see that my paint is flowing at the consistency that I want. Guys, so many people ask, what's the right consistency of paint? And there is no right answer. It depends on what you're spraying, guys. There are some points where I've got my paint so thin, and that's when I'm going for very transparent layers, building it up in multiple layers, guys. And that's how I can accomplish some of these real nice fades and tone blends, is transparent paint and multiple passes. What you're seeing here, guys, is a thicker paint. I'm not going very thin with it, but I'm looking for coverage power, and this is where the stencil comes in handy, guys. But there are so many different instances where I use so many different variations between the two. All I can say is thicken and thin as you go. Add thinner if it's too thick, add paint if it's too thin, and find that consistency that's working for what you need at that particular point and time. There's no real rule. I know, guys. And again, guys, I don't change my air pressure. I run typically 40 psi all the time, man. I don't change it up. Not when I'm doing detail work, not when I got thinner paint. It just seems like that is the air pressure that works for me. Now, you might find this to be different, and that's cool, guys. This is the beautiful thing about art, is there is no such thing as right or wrong. It is 100% personal preference. What works for me may not work for you. I hope it does. This is why I'm here, to lay down a little bit of knowledge. But this is just it, guys. This is my knowledge. I'm sharing it. I hope you guys get something out of it. So when I'm blasting through a stencil, my main game here, guys, is to get a nice hard edge. So when I'm putting my paint down, I'm making sure that my angles are going either away from that stencil or straight on that stencil. I don't blow into the stencils, and I don't hit it on very shallow angles. I do prefer a thicker consistency of paint. When I'm usually working with stencils, guys, you go too thin and you run the risk of skating that paint underneath, where the paint is just too wet and it sort of spider webs and goes underneath your stencils, and you don't want to have that happen, guys. You're looking at cleanup after. So usually, again, there is no real rule of thumb. Let's say 86% of the time I have a thicker paint when I'm using my stencils. Again, this is to keep it from being too thin and having it bleed, skate, spiderweb, whatever you want to call it, underneath your stencil and causing a bit of a hiccup that needs to be addressed. So here we are, guys. I'm just doing some Starburst to give it, again, a graffiti kick. Adding that flavor that's just gonna make it look a little less airbrushed and more spray bombed. Alright, guys, I'm keeping a lot of this real time for you. just so you can see how I am applying my paint on and around the stencil. You can see for that outline, there's just about as much paint applied to the stencil as what was applied outside of the stencil, keeping the highest concentration of paint right on the middle, right in between the two, the stencil's edge and the piece. So this is how I get a nice sharp edge with a nice subtle blend. It's not overkill, you're not blending this 3 inches past, well, I mean in some of my Starbursts I am, but for the majority of the outline, it's just a centimeter, maybe a little less. And here I'm going in with some pink, and just giving these little Starburst areas, these little explosions of color, some highlights, just to emphasize the explosion. You know me, guys, I love it when it pops, and this is one of those areas where it allows you to give you a little bit more pop. You know how I do. Alright guys, we're going to wrap this up rather quickly, starting to speed her up a bit so that we don't take too much time in this video. Pop her off, and there you go. You've got your banner. Next step would be to go in and outline this entirety in black. And this was a personal choice. There is no right or wrong. I think it looks pretty awesome without the outline, but it just wasn't very graffiti. It had more of a stenciled edge, obviously, and it was almost too hard, where with graffiti imagery, it's all got that spray bomb. There's not a lot of hard edges. There can be some tight lines, but it's still done with a bomb and not a stencil. So this is how I'm achieving just a little less of that hard edge and blending it in with my black outline to keep it in the style that I am going for. And this is a great time to pay close attention, guys. Notice how even though I'm doing nice straight lines here, guys, not one of them, not a single one of these lines am I trying to achieve with one pass. Alright, so everything here is done in multiple passes, lighter layers, and again, guys, with an airbrush, you're floating above the piece. It's not always the easiest thing. Here we got some real time, so now you can see how I'm putting these lines on, guys. It's a slow process, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the corner, 6, tighten it up a little bit, right? That's a lot of passes for one line. And with the straighter lines, guys, you'll notice I don't even try to do the whole thing in one pass. I break it up into sections, and I will do one little section, building it up slowly, getting it to that darkness that I want it, and then just tying the whole thing together. Yep. Hold your breath, guys. Don't be too shaky when you're doing these types of lines. But again, this is the little trick of the trade. Rather than trying to all accomplish it in one pass, light layers. You're not trying to slam this black in there, guys. You're doing it in a few passes and ensuring that you get it nice and straight. Alright guys, I hope that's something you can stick in the brain box, use on another project of yours, because man, I use it all the time. Alright guys, we're going to wrap up this outline right away here, and then we are going to get that little scallop that is behind that you've seen me mask out in video 1. Yep, we're gonna peel this guy back out because I want it to kind of go in and throughout my graffiti style lettering. I know, guys, that this ain't quite there. Again, it's done a little differently with an airbrush as opposed to a spray bomb, but there you go. And now for the I hope you're feeling at peace right now. Alright. Using a stencil to map out the white. Now, how do I get that into a rainbow brush stroke? I picked these up from the dollar store, guys. 5 for $2. Can't go wrong. I thought maybe if I did some red, yellow, and blue, and kind of mixed them up in between on my little painting block, maybe I could dab this and just keep the red on one side, the yellow in the middle, and the green. And then maybe I could... I think that's a little optimistic, guys. Should we give it a try? I guess there's no harm in trying. It's just hours wasted. Story of my life. Alright guys, this is what I came up with. I don't know if that's gonna work. Let's let's give her a whirl, man. There is only one way to find out. Alright. Yeah, no. Test sample, guys. Always go for a test sample. And I just don't know if this is going to work for me, guys. And nope, I don't think that's going to cut it. That's too bad. Oh, maybe. Maybe, baby. And the long and short of it is... nope. Once you got one area, you kind of have to repeat. Alright, let's go back to our dollar store brushes, guys. And I guess I'm going to grab out this dude here. And we're just going to attack this one color at a time, I think would be best. And this is one thing that I absolutely love about my job, is that every project is a learning process. I had no idea how I was going to tackle this one, guys. I was requested to paint the ohm to look like brush strokes. I said. Rainbow brush strokes? I said. Alright, guys. I had an idea, it didn't quite work, so we go to plan B. There's always a plan B. C, D, as I said, and I will continue to say, guys, there is no one solution to any problem. Any problem you have has 100 different solutions. It's just a matter of finding the one that works. And this is what my job is, man. I am a problem solver. Daily, every day, I am gifted with a problem and I must solve it. So, this is me on fast time, rocking through some rainbow brush strokes, just trying to keep it all to the same consistency. Wherever I've got the bottom is where I start with the green and work my way up, just so that everything is consistent. You know what I'm saying? You hear what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. Alright guys, I think this is about it for this one, so let me know in the comments, what do you guys think about this? Was there a better way to do this rainbow brushstroke? I'm sure there probably was. I'm sure a lot of you guys have maybe achieved something similar. I'm a newbie when it comes to rainbow brush strokes. Hey, I can be a newbie too. So let me know, guys. What do you think about the lettering on this one? Again, a little more legible. Didn't go too crazy with the graffiti style. Let me know. What do you guys think? That's another one done. That's 4 down, 1 to go, guys. She's a big one. Well, with all of that done and spewed out, I hope you guys learned something. I hope you enjoyed this little ditty. Another colorful one. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Learning as I go. And what is life, guys, if we are not learning as we go, guys? So, learn. If you have questions, ask. I will be here to answer. And, that's that. That is that. Alright, guys, as always, like, follow, subscribe. Thanks for coming along for the ride. Cheers. Keep your eyes peeled for the final part in the graffiti project, and you will see some photos of a wrap-up, guys. Also, be sure to check out the rest of the tutorials in this series, guys, if you haven't already, and I've got the beginners and the hack videos for you guys, for your viewing pleasure. Check them out. Cheers.